In the bustling streets of Chinatown, a man nervously scans the area around him. He quickens his pace and slips the envelope he's carrying into a nearby mailbox. To throw people off, he grabs a jacket off the street and throws it over his shoulders. But he never sees it coming. Just as he steps out of Chinatown, he's struck by an oncoming train and killed instantly. A man in a van confirms he's dead, then drives off without hesitation. Not long after that, James gets the news that his father has passed away. The police tell him it was a traffic accident. Johnny had cut ties with their father years ago, and things between him and James have been tense too. So James doesn't plan on telling Johnny about their father's death, but James' wife thinks Johnny deserves to know.
He needs to know his father died.
Well...
Meanwhile, Johnny rides his motorcycle home and finds his wife packing her bags. She can't take his always-gone lifestyle anymore, and she's decided to leave. Johnny apologizes over and over, trying to win her back with a few sweet words. But just when he thinks he's turned things around, she doesn't believe a word he says anymore, and walks out without looking back. After a shower, Johnny collapses onto the couch, exhausted. Then his phone rings. It's his sister-in-law, Layla. Layla tells him their father is dead and asks him to come to the funeral tomorrow. Before the call even ends, two members of the Japanese mob quietly slip into the house. The next second, a blade is pressed against Johnny's throat.
What the fuck?
The two hitmen demand that Johnny hand over the package his father sent him before he died. But Johnny has no idea what they're talking about. When he refuses to cooperate, they immediately start making threats. If he doesn't hand it over, they say, he'll join his father in the grave. Hearing that, Johnny realizes his father's death must be connected to them. Anger and desperation take over, and a brutal fight breaks out. As a cop on the reservation, Johnny is more than capable of taking both of them down. But he doesn't want to kill them. The hitmen cross the line. They smash his mother's ashes right in front of him. That's the moment Johnny completely loses control. With a few swift, lethal moves, he leaves them dead on the floor. Afterward, Johnny looks down at the photo of his mother in his hand. Her killer was never found. This time, he vows to dig into his father's death and find whoever is really responsible. The next day, Johnny flies to Hawaii for the funeral. After the service, the family sits together in silence over lunch. That's when Johnny speaks up and tells them about the attempt on his life the night before. He says straight out that their father's death isn't as simple as it looks. Right there, he swears he'll uncover the truth. But James worries he'll make things worse and tells him to stay out of it. That sets Johnny off all over again.
Why don't you trust me? Just fucking once!
The truth is, Johnny has always believed their mother was murdered. But all these years, he's never found the real killer. No matter how much he explains, James refuses to believe him. Frustrated with his stubborn brother, as the days pass, James starts to suspect his father's death isn't just an accident. He heads to the police station to review the case file. But Detective Renner brings nothing but bad news. There were no witnesses, and the only surveillance camera was broken.
You guys don't investigate hit and runs?
Sure we do. All 46 of them.
James presses him. His father was a private investigator tied to underground crime rings, killed in a blind spot with no cameras. How is that not suspicious? But Renner insists it's just a straightforward hit and run. He tells his younger brother to stop stirring up trouble everywhere over their father's death. That's when James snaps.
So you're gonna have to take my word for it when I tell you that I'm the fucking bear.
Back in his car, James stares at his father's belongings, deep in thought. He goes through everything but finds almost nothing, except a restaurant receipt covered in handwritten words. Meanwhile, Johnny heads to his father's PI office, looking for more clues. Not long after he steps inside, he hears the door unlocking. Johnny ducks out of sight as a young boy sneaks in and starts rummaging through the desk.
Holy shit! Oh, fuck!
Realizing he's been spotted, the kid bolts for the door. One shot and he's not going anywhere. After some intense questioning, Johnny learns the boy's name is Pika. He used to gather intel on the streets for Johnny's father. Johnny finds out his father had been investigating a high-end restaurant company, but as for what to do next, he's still completely in the dark. So Johnny decides to bring Pika in to help with the investigation. At the same time, James visits the site of the accident. He notices a store camera pointed straight at the street where it happened, and walks inside. The owner brushes him off with a nasty attitude.
Get the fuck out of my store, you fucking squid!
Left with no choice, James teaches him a quick lesson. After some hassle, he finally gets his hands on the surveillance footage from that day. Meanwhile, back at the PI office, Johnny and Pika are frustrated, not knowing where to even start. Sitting on the couch, Johnny suddenly notices something strange. The surfboard hanging on the wall looks slightly out of place. After taking a closer look, a set of architectural blueprints falls out from inside the board. Jonny immediately sends the document number to his cousin, who works for the state government. She confirms it's a construction plan for a casino on the island. The records show that the man behind the project is Robert Shaw. But since casinos are strictly illegal in Hawaii, the project was never completed. Just as Pika stands up to leave, James suddenly bursts in. He brings the surveillance footage. When they play it, they're horrified to see the vehicle never even hits the brakes. It runs straight over their father's body. That's when James finally understands. This was no accident. After talking it through, they decide Pika will check the DMV for that blue car with no plates and dig into every event Robert Shaw has hosted or plans to host in the next 2 weeks. As they get in the car to leave, the brothers are still bickering. The younger brother throws a sarcastic remark at his older brother. The next second, an armored truck barrels straight toward them. Inside are the same Japanese mob members who ambushed Jonny before. After a fierce shootout, the 4 mobsters are quickly taken down for good. Once they're clear, the brothers head to the piece of land marked on the map. When they arrive, they realize the land is home to a community of native Hawaiians. After speaking with the locals, they learn the truth. If the land is sold, these families will lose their homes for good. Just then, Pika calls. The police have pulled that blue vehicle from the ocean. There's another body inside, an employee from Robert Shaw's finance department. All the new evidence points straight at Robert Shaw. The brothers decide to sneak into his house and get to the bottom of it. Luckily, Shaw is hosting a fundraiser at his mansion, and Pika happens to know the event coordinator. So the brothers go in disguised as servers and begin looking for answers. Not long after getting inside, Jonny strikes up a conversation with Shaw's wife, Monica. Through their conversation, he learns that Monica once hired their father to investigate her husband. She was planning to divorce him and needed leverage. Meanwhile, James finds a card dropped by one of the Japanese mob members. It confirms they work for Shaw and that their father's death is tied to them.
I gotta go, frogman.
See you around.
I look forward to it.
Worried about being caught, Monica tells Jonny to meet her tomorrow at the penthouse of the Kielinika Hotel. But things don't go as planned. The brothers are quickly discovered and dragged in front of Shaw by his security team. Shaw claims he suspected Monica of cheating and hired their father to look into it. He tries to use that story to cover up his crimes, but the brothers aren't buying it. After a few threats,
Please, feel free to exit the way you came in.
the next morning, Jonny shows up at the hotel, only to find Monica already dead. He instantly realizes his involvement may have triggered this tragedy. Furious, he storms into Shaw's room to confront him, but alone, he's quickly overpowered.
You killed your wife. You killed my father, you fucking asshole.
Shaw doesn't even take him seriously and has security hand him over to the police. After bailing Jonny out, James grows angrier by the minute. He accuses his brother of always acting reckless and impulsive. He says coldly,
Fucking shit up is not gonna bring your mother back.
Jonny snaps, and the two start throwing punches right outside the station. It's like they're unloading years of resentment all at once. When James finally stops, Jonny can't hold it in anymore and opens up. He tells James that when he needed him most, he was left alone. Hearing that, James quickly explains what really happened back then.
You were going to prison. The syndicate was gonna fucking kill you!
But their mother was still found and murdered in the street, a sight Jonny can never forget.
I'd do everything differently.
Really fucking sorry.
At last, the brothers finally clear the air between them. After they return home, Jonny's girlfriend Valentina calls. She tells him a mysterious package from Hawaii has just arrived in the mailbox. Jonny realizes right away it's the USB drive the mob has been desperately searching for. He tells her to bring it over immediately.
I can't thank you enough. This is lifesaver.
On the drive back from the airport, Pika tries to crack the USB drive, but it's protected by heavy bank-level encryption. Valentina, who works at a bank, explains they'll need the 12-word seed phrase to access it. Hearing that, James remembers the receipt in their father's wallet, covered in handwritten words. He hands it to Pika and tells him to try those words. Before he can finish, a Japanese mob helicopter swoops in behind them, spraying bullets everywhere. Luckily, Valentina is an excellent driver and quickly maneuvers around a crash up ahead. Suddenly, a motorcycle pulls up beside them, and two of them jump on. Working together seamlessly, they take out the assassin in no time.
Holy shit, he's erasing his head!
But the helicopter is still right on their tail. Jonny grabs the fallen assassin's submachine gun and fires wildly, drawing the helicopter's attention. James steadies himself in the back and fires a precise shot, hitting one of the men on the helicopter. After a brutal exchange of gunfire, the helicopter is struck and crashes in a fiery explosion. At the last second, they speed into a tunnel and finally shake the danger. Once things settle down, Pika finally manages to access the bank account on the USB drive. Valentina explains that the international wire codes show something shocking. Over the past 3 years, $12 million moved through multiple offshore accounts and ended up in the same account in the Cayman Islands.
Peter Mahoy, no fucking way.
You know him?
Everybody knows him. He's the governor.
It turns out Robert Shaw was trying to build a casino resort in Hawaii and needed someone to make the plan legal. So he paid $12 million to bribe the governor and hired the Japanese mob as his muscle. The brothers quickly realized their father had been working for Shaw's wife. Meanwhile, Johnny's cousin, completely unaware of the danger, is about to hand the resort and casino blueprints over to the governor. When the governor realizes the truth might be exposed, he quickly promises he would never allow such a project.
Good work, Nani. I'll take these.
Thank you, Uncle.
When James and Johnny return home, they discover their wives and cousin have been taken by Shaw.
They took her. I'm sorry, I should have protected her.
Shaw calls and threatens them, demanding they trade the USB drive for the hostages immediately. His arrogant tone instantly ignites James' fury. James takes his brother to a hidden safe house. They gear up and quietly infiltrate Shaw's mansion. Johnny uses a car in the garage as bait, setting off the alarm and drawing out the guards. Within moments, the guards are silently taken down by Johnny from the shadows. James runs into trouble when he realizes the house is fitted with bulletproof glass. But unexpectedly, one of the guards foolishly opens a window. In no time, security inside and outside the mansion is nearly wiped out. They cut the power to the entire house. A bodyguard steps out to investigate and is instantly stabbed from behind by Johnny. Sensing the threat, Shaw sends in his Japanese mob enforcers to eliminate them. But they are no match for the brothers. James alone takes out the remaining killers in short order.
I think he's dead.
Soon after, they rescue Layla and their cousin. As they step out of the panic room, Layla warns them Shaw plans to eliminate the two men who tried to escape.
And showed that Holly he fucked with the wrong family.
During the chase, James is intercepted by Nakamura, and a fierce fight erupts. At first, Nakamura doesn't grasp how serious the situation is and keeps taunting him.
Let's dance.
After a brutal clash, Nakamura ends up dying by his own blade. Meanwhile, Johnny catches up to Shaw as he attempts to flee on a yacht.
A gun? Come on.
As James arrives, a massive explosion erupts before his eyes. He can hardly believe what he's seeing. He sprints forward, dives into the water, and pulls an unconscious Johnny back to the surface. Luckily, his brother survives. In the end, the governor is arrested for murder and bribery. Through uncovering the truth about their father's death, the brothers finally reconcile, and the $12 million in that account quietly ends up in their hands. Johnny also learns a new lead about their mother's real killer from Pika. But this time, James won't stop his brother. Instead, he stands beside him as they step into their next battle together.